Hi, everybody. This is Attorney Arkady Frekhtman. I'm a New York City personal injury trial attorney. And today I wanted to answer a question, or rather comment on something that keeps happening very often. And that is somebody will text me and they'll ask me, hey, what is my case worth? What do you think it's worth? But they'll just give me a little bit of information. They'll just say something like, well, I was in a car accident and I had like one epidural, and that's it. And it's hard for me to comment on that, but I was thinking about it and I was thinking to myself, well, why aren't a lot of these people, a lot of people that text me, they already have legal representation. That means a lawyer or a law firm is handling their case, right? Some people, of course, it just happened, so it's new, but the people that have lawyers, why aren't lawyers telling their clients what they think the case is worth? And I was thinking about that question, and I was thinking, like, why is this a recurring problem? And what are some of the reasons that a lawyer handling a case, and they're handling a personal injury case, so it's a slip and fall, car crash, trucking accident, traumatic brain injury, spinal fusion, maybe a spinal cord injury, or even a paraplegia case, but they're not telling the client what it's worth? Why could that be? So, I think that there could be a few reasons. Number one, there are many unknowns in litigation, right? And you never know what a case definitely will be worth. You can guess as to what it should be worth, but legally, it's not really an exact science like mathematics. It's more of an art. It's the art of practicing law. So we can't know exactly what something will be worth. We might think, well, we have a fusion case, we have a $10 million policy, we have a really compelling human story. We think this case is going to be worth, $6-7 million. But then something comes out, they get a videotape of the plaintiff playing basketball, and the plaintiff's a liar and a fraud, and they have that on tape. Now, the value comes right down, right? So maybe the plaintiff's lawyer doesn't want to commit to something. And that's probably the second reason they don't want to say what a case is worth, is because then they have to live up to it, right? If they tell a client, well, the case is not worth very much, well, now the client might be like, wait a minute, do I have the right representation? They could leave that lawyer and hire someone else, right? So the lawyer's afraid to say that. But on the flip side, if the lawyer says, hey, this case is worth like $5 million, well, now they have to get the $5 million, right? They have to live up to that. If they can't live up to it, then, so they're afraid that they won't be able to live up to it for whatever reason. Maybe they are not a real trial lawyer and they can't get that money. Maybe they don't know how to get that money. There could be a lot of reasons. Or maybe they think that there's a chance to get the money, but they're not sure. And it's kind of like that analogy I used before. If you're going into the woods, well, you don't know what's in the woods. You don't know your way out. So they think, well, maybe I can get you out of the woods, but I don't know exactly. And I can't say we're going to get through these woods and get, a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. I can't guarantee that. So yeah, there are a lot of things that they don't know. And, it could be that they don't know it because they just aren't specialists, right? They're more like a claims lawyer that takes a lot of cases and tries to settle them over the phone, but they're not the type of specialist that could really dissect a file, review a litigation file and say, look, here's an amount that is a range, not an exact amount, but a range for the human losses, meaning the pain and suffering and the loss of enjoyment of life for the past, the date of the incident up until the trial, and for the future, the date of the trial, and for the rest of this person's life. And then what about the future medical costs, meaning prescriptions, physical therapy appointments, future surgeries? You need to get reports from doctors outlining what the future medical expenses will be and what the future necessity is for this medical care, right? You need a narrative report from a doctor. Then you also would need an economist. You need sometimes a vocational rehabilitation expert. All of these experts, you have to know how to do direct exams of these experts, how to prevent successful cross-examinations or do strong redirects at trial so that these experts stand up in court, right? So the evidence holds up. So there's all of that. And then another issue is, well, how much is there? Striking, and it's really, really strange to me. A lot of times lawyers just don't know how much insurance there is. And oftentimes they don't even care to ask. Like I recently started working on a file and actually the file had a prior attorney. So my office called the prior attorney and they said, well, we know there's 1 million here, but is there any excess, an umbrella or supplemental? Is there anything beyond the 1 million? And the lawyer was like, well, I don't know. I don't even care. I didn't even ask. Why would I want to know that? He was like confused. Like, why wouldn't you want to know that? Now you know how much there is, right? Because the client in this case actually had a really serious injury with, very serious surgery. Cases like that easily go for more than 1 million. So wouldn't you want to know how much there is? So it's just odd. And then more recently, I was speaking to a nice lady, and she had a potential traumatic brain injury case, and this was in another state. And I found out through speaking with her that, number one, her lawyer didn't know how much insurance there was. I mean, they knew that there was like 1 million again, but they didn't know if there was any excess or umbrella, and they weren't really taking any steps to find out. Okay, so that's on one side. They don't know how much money there is out there. But on the flip side, she had this traumatic brain injury, and it was already found, to be a traumatic brain injury and actual brain damage on an MRI, which, is already amazing because a lot of the times an MRI will not show damage to the brain on the neuronal level because there's 84 billion neurons, and an MRI won't show all those neurons. You have to do more advanced testing, such as a diffuse tensor imaging. There's other types of testing. So you want to have a neurologist, you want to have like a traumatic brain injury medical specialist, like a neurologist, neuroradiologist, sometimes a neuropsychologist, and do this proper workup. So this was like one of these claims lawyers, people that, just handle the case as a claim. So they didn't know it on both fronts. They didn't know what the extent of her traumatic brain injury was or what it could be because they weren't doing all the testing. So they just don't know like what's happening there, right, with her injury and her medical care. So number one, she's not getting better because she doesn't have the right care. And we don't even know what her injury is or to the extent of this traumatic brain injury because, again, they're not doing all the right testing. They just kind of did one MRI and they stopped. And on the other side, well, how much insurance is there? They don't know, and they're not finding out. So on both sides, on the litigation front and on the medical front, they just, there are big red flags. But despite these huge, these two huge red flags, the lawyer's trying to settle the case and get her to take a small settlement, like under $100,000, just like a few, a 5-figure settlement. It just doesn't make any sense. It's crazy. I can't believe, this is happening. It's just not right. So I just thought, this is an interesting topic. And then the worst is when the lawyer asks the client, right, what do you think it's worth? How much do you want to get? Because the client doesn't know. They're just an injury victim. They're a survivor of this trauma, whatever it is, a fall or a construction accident, and they want to get better. They want to be in the same place that they were before they got injured. They want to get compensation, but, they're the last person to ask. The lawyer should be the person that knows value, that has the history of all the precedents, the verdict searches, the case law, and that can really go for the maximum and guide the client. You don't want the client guiding the lawyer. That's just kind of, really, really not good. And then, so I would say, look, when we answer these questions, we try to do as best as we can, but the only real way to answer that, how much a case is worth, is to speak with the client and have that one-on-one consultation and get all the details. It's not something I could really answer in a text message. I really have to sit down with them and find out all the details, like how has this really impacted their life? What city are they in? What's the venue? What's the stage of the case? Do they have a lawyer? Is it recent and they're looking for a lawyer? Are they done with their medical care? What stage is the litigation in? Have they been deposed? Have all the defendants been deposed? Have all depositions been done? What are all of the issues in the case? And then you can start thinking about ranges. But even, I feel comfortable sometimes after doing a deep dive to give out ranges, possible ranges to my clients and to even people that aren't my clients that just reach out for a consultation. But the caveat is I always like to give them a disclaimer. This isn't like the amount that, I'm guaranteeing you're going to get this amount. This is just like a range based on my past experience. Right, so that's very important also because, like I said, it's an art. It's the practice of law. You never know. Sometimes you think a case could be worth a lot and you can get a defense verdict, meaning you get zero. And sometimes you think a case is tough and it's going to settle for a really small amount, but you get surprised and the case actually gets a really nice verdict or a really nice settlement for whatever reason. There's a lot of issues. There's timing. There's which judge you get assigned, or how the judge rules on a particular motion. Sometimes before trial, there's motions in limine, and if the judge rules for the plaintiff on a motion in limine, then the defendant gets a little bit scared, and then the defendant can offer much more money, and you could settle a case that way. So there's a lot of different factors, almost like too many factors to even enumerate. There's so many different things. But I hope this was helpful. So let us know if you're going through that yourself, if you're having this issue where a lawyer won't tell you how much they think your case is worth. Okay, please like and subscribe to our channel. Let us know what questions you have. We are here for you. And happy holidays to everyone, and we will talk to you very soon. Okay, bye-bye.